Hello and welcome to another episode of The Untold. This is the show where we have great people, their stories, their untold journeys and experiences, basically whatever led them to this point. For today's episode, we have Ali AlHasan, who is an expert in communication. You know, communication is such a lost art, and a lot of people, just for some reason kind of lost it in this digital age. And for that reason, we're going to be having Ali, we're going to be talking to him, and hopefully we're going to find out how to communicate better. So stay tuned. And we're back from that quick break. We are joined by Ali AlHasan, who I'd like to first welcome you on The Untold.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I think it's very important that we have this episode today, especially with you, because for today's episode, I think it's a lost art, right? With all the social media. And specifically, we're going to be talking about communications.
Definitely, it's a lost art. And one common misconception people have is, I already know how to communicate. So a lot of us are born, we can talk, but it doesn't mean that my ideas or what I'm thinking is actually passing to the person next to me.
Yeah, I think there's a profound saying where it says that people, hear, but they don't listen, something like that. Or people talk or speak, but they don't talk, something like that. It's a little difference in words, but, the gist is we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
It's absolutely just like you have a phone. So you can call somebody.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of missed calls. Just because you called, you send a message, doesn't mean the other person received it. It's only when they actually answer and then you talk and then you actually make sure that the idea gets to the other person. Then you know that what I wanted is actually
And the other person.
got to the other person.
Yeah.
Correct.
And, speaking of communication, at what point in your life did you start to realize, there's power in this kind of thing? Communication is a very powerful tool.
Well, a lot, now thinking about it, when I was younger, I always noticed people that you like to be around. Some people that I'm sure you have family, you have friends, some people that as soon as you see, you hide away. You don't want to be next to them.
Yeah.
And there's others that they're just magnets. People like to sit with them, and then people gravitate toward them. And they smile, and that kind of response stuck with me. I have a cousin, is a brother-in-law, his name Kifah. I noticed that one thing he does, everywhere he goes, people are nice to him.
Oh,
and then I realized that he compliments everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Nice smile, nice, always thinking about something good to say about another person. All of a sudden, the door is open, the other person is happy, and now we can start having a dialogue.
Yeah, honestly, there are some people, and me myself included, who feel very jealous of them because they have very natural charisma, right? They are very charismatic. They know what to say, they know how to say it. And for people like me who don't know what to say all of the time, I was like, how do they come up with this?
The thing is, you're talking about talent. Some people that think that they're born with it, and some people are not. I don't think anybody's born with being a good speaker. Sometimes you're fortunate that you have your mom and dad might be very good. You might have a friend that is very good, that you catch a lot of what they're doing and then it becomes part of you. But everything in terms of communication is a skill that you learn.
Yeah.
So I don't like the word talented, because I think that robs the person of all of the work and effort and hours it took them to train and get really good at something.
Yeah. So were you always, I would say, had a little bit of being good at communication, or was that a skill that you built over time?
Well, I think before you're good, you have to be bad. I was really bad. So I get upset really easily. I don't know how to respond. I get like the O face. Somebody says something and I just frozen. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And even when I started doing corporate training and talking to people, now people like my trainings, but at the beginning, I would have people yawning, sleeping, and I'm like, it's the most frightening thing when you see you're trying to convey a message and people are sleeping. That means I'm not doing the right job. So it took a while to learn those things. And one of my friends, the same company I used to work with, he's like, Ali, the material is really good, but it's boring.
Yeah.
And so what I did is at that time I started to basically look at people that I thought really are really good and just see what they do. And then I realized, and right now I'm moving my hands. It comes without thinking. I noticed that people that are really good, they're very good at using their body. They're they have energy. They're moving from one place to the other. Their tone of voice changes. They're excellent at storytelling. So there's a lot of things that that we see, but we don't know how to translate it into words or things that I need to learn. But you have to see somebody's really good, and then you start thinking, okay, he's really good. What can I learn from him? And then you start mimicking some of the things, and all of a sudden you start getting really good too.
Yeah. And so how was your process at getting good at it? Like, at what point did you start, and then how did you progress from there?
Okay, I'll tell you a thing about my first public speaking. So I was at this company I used to work with, and I prepared a couple of days to give a talk that is supposed to be 1 hour. And so I was so focused on what I'm going to talk about that I forgot everything else. And I was so nervous going in, when your knees shake before you go to. So I was doing the training, and there's like all the people that are peers, people that you work with, that they know you. And I finished the hour in 11 minutes.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I didn't once look at the audience. I didn't once look at anybody. I was just focusing on the material. Luckily, there's somebody else in the office that I know. He's a really good trainer, and I just saw him coming from outside, and I'm like, and I don't know what to say. And I saw him like, oh, and let me introduce you to Mr. John. And then he came and he could talk for hours. But the reason I tell you that story is, no matter where you are, you have to start with being bad. First thing is you have to aware that there's something that I have to learn and I have to improve. And that was my first step. From that point on, I knew there's some gaps or some areas that I'm not too good at, I have to work on. And you just learn it by practicing. If you have some good people that are really good in the field that you ask for feedback, a lot of them are usually very good about teaching.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid of, trying or doing something, and then they're going to end up doing failures. So that's why a lot of people avoid going through so many hurdles or so many, back steps. But, in order to go 2 steps forward, you always got to go take 1 step backward. I think a lot of people just, very afraid of that, so they don't take the chances or risk that they should have.
If you're gonna teach me how to ride a bicycle, I can't read about it and all of a sudden I'm a master biker. You have to fall multiple times.
You also have to not be afraid of falling.
Exactly. But maybe the first time I go on a mountain bike, once I went on this trip to Hawaii in Maui, and there is a bike ride activity that you can purchase. They pick you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they drive all the way to the topest mountain in Maui, and then you just go downhill the whole way.
Oh.
So if that was your first day, maybe that's not a good idea to go start with that. So maybe you start the first day, you do baby steps. You have training wheels. So even if you fall, it won't fall. And then after a while, you increase your risk, or you're already better. So you can do things a little bit more. So it's calculated risk. It's not just throwing yourself in the danger zone, I would say.
Just go to the. This reminds me of a funny story. Back when we were kids, we used to go to Salmiya, right, where they have swimming pools.
Yes.
And so my uncle, he was totally unbothered. So it's like, this is how you're gonna be swimming. You gotta flutter your hands. Like, he did it outside. And then he took all of us, me and my cousins, and just threw us in the swimming pool. It's like whoever was drowning, there was a coach, and they would go for them. But it's that moment where it's like, you gotta face your fears, and you're gonna learn it.
And are you still swimming, or you gave up?
No, I'm a good swimmer now.
Okay, good. But sometimes that works. But a lot of times, maybe somebody will have trauma for that event, and they will never show up. Like my wife, she will never get into a pool.
Oh.
She's scared of water, so it's gonna take a while before she. And usually that happens with a traumatic event. So in the field of communication, maybe if I'm afraid of talking, it's really hard for me to talk in front of 2 people. Maybe I shouldn't talk in front of a crowd of 100 at the beginning, because that will scare me and I will not do anything. So I will start with maybe 4 people and so on and so forth.
I think
so it's gradual is what I mean.
Yeah, I think I forgot which theater actor was it that said that, you know, my beginnings were stage acting in front of 4 or 5 people, and now, yeah, I think it was the theater actor because that was on a Broadway play. You know, when they finish the play and they bow down, they have interviews. He said that my beginnings, it was just 4 or 5 people plays. Most of them is in front of my family.
Yeah, I think in every success story,
Yeah,
you find somebody like failing over and over and over and over and over till they get really good.
yeah.
And then I don't know if you ever heard of the 10,000 hour theory.
The 10th. Oh, is that where if you dedicate 10,000 hours to every hobby, you're gonna be
Yes.
good at it?
So, for
Yeah.
example, it comes from a really good book by Malcolm Gladwell. I think it's either The Tipping Point or the other one. I can't remember,
Okay.
but it's Malcolm Gladwell, and he basically says that they're monitoring pianists, people
Yeah.
that play the piano, and they noticed that there's some that played an average of 2,000 hours. Those are okay.
Yeah.
Then there's some that did 4,000. A lot of those 4,000 become teachers. But there's the ones that did 10,000, those play at Carnegie Hall or these big concerts
yeah,
and things like
yeah.
that. The thing though is when you see somebody playing the 10,000 hours, you see them and you're like, oh my God, that person is so talented. Their hands just, or their fingers just swim across the keyboard.
Yeah.
But you didn't notice all the headaches and all the pain and all the effort it took to get that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, this reminds me of a boxer. Again, I forgot. I just know quotes, but I keep forgetting the names. But the boxer says he was being interviewed or something, and they talked to him. You know, you have great talent, and then he said, "Hard work always triumphs talent." It's all about hard work, putting the work in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a misconception. I think we have it more in our area in the Middle East and in Kuwait. The people, oh, he's talented or he's not. But in real life, like you cannot judge a person, their success or their failure based on what they did in high school.
Yeah.
So he's so young. You have to have lots of challenges. You have and lots of falling down before you become really good at something. Just like
Yeah.
since you're talking about boxers, the greatest boxer of all time is Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Is it because he's the strongest?
No, he was putting a lot of work in.
He did a lot, not just that he did a lot of work. He's one of the people that he kept getting knocked down and losing the championship, and he would fight back and get it.
Yeah.
A lot of people, once they reach the top and they lose, they just give up. So Muhammad Ali, he just didn't know how to give up. It's just in him that I'm gonna keep doing it. And that's what it takes to win, I think, in anything.
Yeah, and speaking of winning, obviously, you're kind of winning at communication, judging by this whole interview. So I want to ask you about at what point, because this is a world where a lot of people talk, at what point did you decide, you want to teach people how to listen instead of talking?
Well, first, I had to be a good listener. A little background. I used to do, I used to be in the field of insurance and investments, and I would meet with clients. And when you're meeting with clients, people would buy, or they would not buy if you're not very good.
Yeah.
So my first thing after I know there's some things about communication that are important, but when you translate that into work and your income depends on what you say, and if people are actually convinced of what you have to offer, you really have to learn these things.
Yeah.
So that was the field that really made me really good at this, really good at listening, really good at communicating my ideas, because people will not, no matter what if you have friends and you're going to start a business, everybody will be like, yeah, I'm excited for you. But when you tell them, okay, can you buy something? They're like, oh, no, wait.
No.
They will only buy if they're convinced. So in the field of communication, if people do what you ask, you're actually pretty good. But a lot of times, maybe I'm not getting what I want out of life. Maybe the issue is maybe I need to work on my communication skills a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, communication is so important because the one trait that is common between world leaders is that they are very good communicators. And we're going to dive way more into those points, but unfortunately, we do have to take a quick break and we'll come right back. And we're back with Ali AlHasan, who's talking to us all about communication and the lost art of, just listening to people.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the trick of the trade. Audiences don't know that our breaks is just like 5, 4, 10 seconds. It's always, coming back from it. I want to ask you about, what do most people misunderstand about verbal communication,
Well, there is I'm sure you heard about communication. It's 50, like there's a study, I can't remember who did the study, but it's a very common one. If you ever go to a communication class, they always mention it. But basically they say that communication is 55% body language,
Okay.
38% tone of voice, like high, low, fast,
yeah.
slow. And then 7% is the words that we use.
Only 7%.
7%. So basically 93% of communication has nothing to do with what I say, but how I say it. A lot of times, if you remember, sometimes you might get upset with somebody and it's not, they say their meaning is right, but the way they say it probably comes out in the wrong way. So you get people upset or, the issue is, how do I learn how to pass my information in the proper way to get it to the other person?
Yeah.
Yes.
And speaking of that, what are some common mistakes people do when they're trying to communicate?
Well, one I say is the most common thing that we talk about, or a touchy subject for people to talk about, is how to communicate when you're upset, or when you're dealing with negative feedback or something like that.
Yeah.
The key thing I want you to remember is when emotions are high, intelligence
Goes
is
down.
low.
Yeah.
So usually, have you ever had a conversation where right after, like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had so many of those. We spent 2 weeks. It's like, oh, I should have said that. I should have done that.
Usually, like, a relationship could be broken because I said the wrong words.
Yeah.
So a key thing is, how do I learn not to say something when I'm really upset?
Yeah.
So that's when, okay, let's take a deep breath and try not to respond, because there's something I want to mention. I think that would be really cool to know. But if I react right away, I might say things that I would ruin the relationship. So I have to chill a little bit, take a pause, and think about what I'm going to say before.
Yeah. I think there are some keywords there that I think apply to me, because I don't know if it's a sign of me growing up, of maturity, but since the recent years, every time I get into a conflict with my family, it's like, when I see my emotions going so high, I'm like, okay, I'm going to step away, because if I stay here for much longer, I'm going to say something, we're all going to be kicked out of the house by dad. So
that's very smart. So now you know how to read the situation.
Yeah.
There's a study that studied the human brain. And in the brain, of course, there's a lot of different parts. But in this particular study, they focus on 3 areas.
Yeah.
The front, which they call the neocortex. That's how you think.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking, I'm talking to you from my neocortex. Your personality, everything, your sense of humor is in the neocortex. Now there's an older part of the brain that is called the limbic.
Limbic.
It's like a small nut.
Okay.
Almond, like shape of an almond. That's a size, and that's a little bit older.
Yeah.
This one is your emotions.
Oh.
So this tries to protect you. So sometimes when somebody's upset, you're like, this is what your flight or fight.
Of course. Yeah.
And then there's another even older, and I believe that is called. The name escapes me right now, but it's a little bit older. They call it the lizard brain also, but there's a scientific word I can't recall.
Lizard brain sounds way much cooler.
Okay. So in this study, they basically, and this one is basically the reactions. So for example, as soon as something happens, there's a certain way that you respond right away.
Oh, okay.
And that one is very fast.
Yeah.
So if you look at all those 3 brains, the only brain that thinks is your neocortex. Everything else is a reaction.
Just subconsciously.
Subconsciously, it happens. So in this study, they basically the front, they call it the human.
Oh.
The limbic, they call it the monkey.
The monkey.
It's emotional. It gets upset. It gets sad. It gets happy. And then there is the the computer, where as soon as the situation, it knows it has to do 1, 2, 3. That's normal.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
programmed.
Yeah.
But I can program it for it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say if a lion comes into our studio,
Yeah.
right away you're like, I would be thinking, okay, who do I have to cross that I'm gonna run out of here? You're not gonna think, oh, the lion is pretty far. By the time he gets to me, he's gonna have
Yeah.
a bite of Ali, and then no, you're gonna run right away. Now, in terms of communication, when I'm passing a message to you, if I put these brains right on top of each other, I have the human, I have the chimp, the monkey, and then I have the computer.
Yeah.
When I send a message to you, you have your brains too. You have the human, the chimp, and then the computer. If I send it from the human, how do you receive it?
It's by, rational thinking.
I thought like that. Actually, it doesn't go to the human. It goes through the computer,
Oh, okay.
to the chimp, and then to your brain. So, for example, if especially don't try it with ladies. If you see a lady and you look tired today, she might be like, what is he thinking? Is my makeup not right?
Yeah.
So the thought doesn't even go to the brain.
It's just
I don't like him.
It's quick reactions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, I have to learn the right words to pass in a way that doesn't get stopped by the chimp.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there are like gates where you gotta pass through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this kind of, this makes sense of why sometimes you see people reacting to dangerous situation in ways you're like, I wouldn't have reacted like that. But that's, different wirings.
A lot of people, they have their monkey doing the chimp doing everything.
Yeah.
They're upset all the time. They're like, if you just drive in the car, people get so angry just because you pass them.
Yeah.
And that's not them. That's their chimp responding.
They're different. So is there a way for us, like, to improve our reactions in those sections, or is that, based upon how you grew up, how you dealt?
It absolutely has something to do with how we grew up. But I think the first step in anything you're learning is being aware.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm aware, later on, you're going to notice, oh, why did I get upset? And then you start to correcting it later on. So basically, humans, or the animal kingdom, it's usually action and there's a reaction right away.
Yeah.
But us as humans, we cannot have that. We have to have something in the middle. I cannot just respond or react to any thing that happened to me. I have to put a layer of, I would call it a pause, where I think a little bit before I respond.
Oh, yeah. I think this reminds me when I was taking some class in the back in the United States, there was a mandatory first aid video you got to watch. And then one of the first things that they said during the first aid things, that if you see an accident, don't just shout, somebody call 911. They said, look at the crowd, look at someone, then say, you, call 911. And I think their idea was that communication to a specific person with, the right tone is going to come off more as it's more in the moment, instead of people are going to be thinking, oh, this guy's going to call them 911, this woman's going to call 911.
It diffuses the responsibility, yes.
Yeah.
Somebody take the lead. Since we're speaking about communication, I thought I'd mention this study that I found really interesting.
Yeah.
They did a study, and I can't recall which research did this, but usually in our everyday language, you, me, everybody, they have a certain set of vocabulary that we use. So they found that the average person, they use between 2,000 to 3,000 words.
Yeah.
But the very highly educated, they use maybe 4,000, maybe a little bit more. But an interesting thing is they found that prison inmates, people that are lived in prison for long periods of time, they only use about 500 words that they manage. So they have a very small inventory of words. That's why when they communicate with you, they don't know how to communicate. So they have to use their hand, or they have to use violence to get their messages across.
Yeah. And speaking of getting a message across, there are, I think we mentioned it before, that people hear but they don't listen. So what is, for the audiences, what is the difference between hearing and active listening?
So hearing, like we could be sitting in this room and I can hear some sounds. It doesn't mean I know what's happening. Or listening it's a lot of work. Listening, or we call it active listening, is where I actually put all of my senses to reading you, to reading you and listening to you. So a lot of times, interesting statistics is 70 or 65% of marriages end because of lack or miscommunication.
Miscommunication.
So a lot of times when a husband and wife they're speaking, the wife's like, I want to talk about something. He's like, yeah, let's talk. And he's like doing something on his computer,
Yeah.
and she's like, you're not looking at me. And he's like, but I'm listening. No, you're not listening. You're hearing. So listening, I have to read the whole body. So remember, 93% of the communication has nothing to do with
Body language.
Exactly. So sometimes you can tell a person just by the way their shoulders go down, or they're happy, they're sad. It shows up. The tonality tells you a lot.
Yeah.
So if I am focused on you, I can actually, you feel a connection with the person next to you just because they gave you the respect to actually give you 100% focus.
Yeah. And honestly, I think, speaking of personal, anecdote, personal experiences or whatever, I've seen so many people who are husband and wife have so many different problems, and their solution was just to have a very open conversation. For some reason, it's like talking is a science that has been forgotten, and nobody wants to indulge in it anymore.
You're absolutely right. The people just want to talk.
Yeah.
So, you ever been to an event or maybe a diwaniya or somebody that you never met, but you met for the first time?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, wow, I had such a great conversation with the person. But if you go back and you try to remember this, you will realize that actually, I'm the one that spoke mostly in that conversation. The other person was just listening.
Yeah.
And you felt that connection.
Yeah.
My first job, I remember this as if it was yesterday. My first job, I was working for this engineering company. And after a year, now I can interview our new hires. And I was really nervous about what I'm going to say. They're very smart kids. And we're after 1 year of working at the company, we get to have lunch with the CEO. And that happened to be the next day I'm going to do my interview. So I remember the CEO said one thing. I asked him about doing an interview.
That's the CEO of the entire company.
Of the entire company. And he's like, whoever speaks less wins.
Yeah.
What do you mean? So that stayed with me. If you speak less, you win. So how do you speak less? You ask more.
Oh.
The more you ask, the more the other person opens up and they talk. So the thing is, the person who learns how to ask right questions, they can steer the conversation to wherever they want.
Yeah.
And they can build that bridge really fast.
Yeah, I think this is, and unfortunately because we've run out of time, this is a very polite way of something my mom used to do. And then I realized it was a saying, when I only have one sister. So when we were having a lot of arguments, we would go to our mom, right? We were shouting everything. And then my mom would do the cooking pots, and then she would click on them. And then the biggest one would show the loudest sounds. And then she was like, you both sound like this.
When you're fighting with each other?
Yeah, when we were fighting. And then when I grew up, I realized, that was a saying, أوان الفارقة تصدر صوت, something like that,
It's so true. So true.
And with that, I do want to thank you for joining us, Ali. This was very enlightening, very fun, very entertaining.
Thank you so much for the invite, and thank you for your trust.
Thank you. And hopefully our audience can get, the proper message that communication is key. And with that, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but we'll take a quick break and we'll come right back. And unfortunately, that was all of the time we've had on The Untold. Another great episode. Ali was kind enough to share with us basically the secrets of communication, highlighting how body movement plays such a large role in it. And with that in mind, I do want to leave you the message is that to be better communicators, we got to be better at everything else. Basically, our tones, our body language, our signals. And with that, that's the end of our episode of The Untold. But until next time, goodbye.